Tánaiste Leo Cunawain Hui Carton Lucht Tastel Lucht Shuloid Cunawain Ella Hui reformed and consolidated domestic violence bill and Cunjaranach Hui a supplementary budget for health. On the reformed and consolidated domestic violence bill, this state signed the Istanbul Convention on Domestic Violence last November, and the programme for government states that the government will implement the convention in full. But a key component in this, Tánaiste, is the enacting of the reformed and consolidated domestic violence bill. And the general scheme was published last July, that's almost a year ago, and in the list of 13 bills which the Taoiseach gave to the Dáil on Tuesday, there was no mention of a bill, and this is supposed to be a priority. So when will the domestic violence bill be published? The programme for government, at least the last one and this one, contained a commitment to deliver on the principles of social inclusion for the traveller community, and you also promised to publish this year a national traveller and Roma inclusion strategy. So can you confirm that this will be in place by the end of the year? 2 weeks ago, Tánaiste, you told me that a special working group is to be established to audit the current delivery and implementation of local authorities' traveller accommodation plans and to consult with stakeholders. And in the light of the controversy surrounding the decisions by Louth County Council to evict travellers in January, when do you expect that this working group will be established? Will the government consult with the traveller groups and with the traveller community and the advocacy groups? And when do you expect the report of the working group to be published? And then finally, I want to ask you about the issue of a supplementary budget for health later this year. And according to the government at the end of last year, the EU fiscal rules prohibited future supplementary budgets for health. And at the start of the year, it was reported that the HSE was already €100 million short in its 2016 budget for the provision of funding for acute hospitals. And the Irish Times on Monday actually quoted informed sources claiming that they expected that the overspend by the HSE this year will be in par with last year's €600 million. So can the Tánaiste confirm that the HSE is spending more than was allocated in its 2016 budget, and do you expect that a supplementary health budget will be required later this year?
Thank you very much, Tánaiste.
The domestic violence bill continues to be worked on. The programme for government does, as you say, commit to the full implementation of the Istanbul Convention and to the full implementation of the second national strategy on domestic sexual and gender-based violence. And obviously, in order to commit fully to the Istanbul Convention, we need the domestic violence bill. A huge amount of work has been done on it, and we would expect to publish that bill later this year, towards the end of this year. It's a very comprehensive piece of legislation. It's a consolidated piece. There have been a huge number of issues to be dealt with, for example, in relation to how the courts deal with domestic violence. There's been contact with the courts in recent times, as some of the issues there were extensive queries raised in relation to the bill back to the Department by the Office of the OPC. We've been dealing with all of those issues, and it's well underway, and there is a commitment to publish it, because we do want to commit to the full implementation, and we have said we'll commit to the full implementation of the Istanbul Convention by the end of the year. And in fact, every department, part of the work that's been done is asking each and every department to outline the pathways that they're identifying of the work that they have to do in relation to the implementation of the strategy. So they're going hand in hand, the work on the bill and the strategy as well. Your second question was in relation to social inclusion strategy that's been developed, and as I said before, that is being worked on, and it is intended to have that in place this year. I don't have a time frame for the working group that I mentioned before, but I'll ask Minister Staunton to deal with that and to contact you. He met with representatives of the traveller community this week and attended a conference in relation to some of the inclusion issues that are very current. In relation to the estimates, obviously a process has now to take place in the coming weeks in relation to the estimates for various government departments, and as the Taoiseach said yesterday on the order of business, he does expect some revision to the estimates that were originally published. But that is a matter for that will be a matter for the House in the very near future, and the Minister for Public Expenditure, no doubt, will be informing the House in relation to the precise timetable for that.
Thank you very much, Tánaiste. Deputy. No, I'm sorry. No, we need.
After my question, I asked, could she confirm that the HSE is spending more than was allocated in its 2016, and does she expect that there will be a need for a supplementary health budget?
Okay, very brief, very brief.
It's very clear that there are huge demands on our health service, and that will be addressed in the coming estimates.
Thank you, Tánaiste. Deputy Howland.
Thank you. Can I ask